This week, the Biden-Harris administration released the first national strategy to combat Islamophobia and anti-Arab hate. The White House says the strategy has four priorities: increase awareness of hatred against Muslims and Arabs and broaden recognition of these communities' heritages, improve safety and security for Muslims and Arabs, tackle discrimination against Muslims and Arabs and appropriately accommodate their religious practices, and continue to build cross-community solidarity and collective action to counter hate. Now, the Council on American Islamic Relations says it's too little too late, and the strategy, quote, fails to promise any changes to federal programs that perpetuate anti-Muslim discrimination on a massive scale. CAIR's National Deputy Director, Edward Ahmed Mitchell, is here with us. Good to have you back.
Yes.
I want to talk about those federal programs in just a moment, but I understand that CAIR's count of anti-Muslim incidents over 2023 was above 8,000, the highest number in the nearly 30 years that you've been keeping count. So what does this mean now?
So first, anti-Muslim bigotry and the interconnected problem of anti-Arab racism are out of control. It's always been a problem in America for decades, but the past year, it's exploded. We've seen horrific hate crimes, employment discrimination, attacks on college students. It's very bad out there. And so normally we would celebrate a White House strategy to combat Islamophobia, but the problem is they've released it with a month left, so it can't have any real impact. It doesn't address government-driven Islamophobia like the watch list, and it doesn't address the elephant in the room, which is Gaza and the impact that's having on Islamophobia. So there are positive things in the strategy, but it's too little too late.
Talk to me more about these federal programs that you say perpetuate anti-Muslim hate.
Yeah, so the watch list, for example, this is a program set up by the FBI during the Bush administration, and it's a list of Muslims, essentially, over 2 million names. Most of them are Muslim names, many of them Americans, and you get put on this list if the FBI thinks there's something suspicious about you, and you're not told that you're on the list, and this can have impact on your ability to open a bank account, to travel, to get a job, because the list is distributed across the country. And so I'll give you one example. We had an American Muslim who was an Army veteran who would get pulled over all the time by the police in Oklahoma and didn't know why. And they'd pull him over at gunpoint and for no reason, and eventually found out he was on the watch list. So we've had to sue the Biden administration to stop misusing this list, and they fought us. We went all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won a 9-0 verdict earlier this year, but the Biden administration fought us on that. And this strategy does not commit to changing the watch list at all.
So the administration says that of the more than 100 actions and initiatives, that most of them have already been implemented. The rest they plan to release on Inauguration Day. As we're going into I see the deep exhale here, into the Trump administration. As we know, Trump has used Palestinian as a slur. He called for a ban on non-American Muslims, instituted a travel ban of mostly Muslim countries, suggested surveillance of American Muslims, has said that Islam, quote, hates us. But he also courted Arab Americans and Muslims during the campaign. Where does this go, do you think, if they release it on the day that he becomes president?
Look, this is the problem with the timing, right? The White House did not prioritize this issue the way they should have. To release it now, it's the worst timing ever. Number one, because the war on Gaza is driving the increase in anti-Muslim bigotry in America. So if President Biden wants to reduce Islamophobia, he should stop that war, and that will help calm things down. But then with President Trump coming into office a month from now, what good is the strategy going to do? We'll see whether or not he decides to adopt any of it, implement any of it. He has had a softened tone towards Muslims in the past few months, but many of the people around him are anti-Muslim extremists, are anti-Muslim bigots. So I have no expectation that the good things in the strategy will be implemented in the next 4 years. We'll push for it, but the bottom line is President Biden dropped the ball here. He should have done this earlier. He should have put more teeth behind the strategy, and he should have addressed the root cause of the increase in Islamophobia, which is the war on Gaza.
We should also say that the strategy to fight anti-Semitism was released in May of 2023, long before this one came out. One more thing happening today. 12-year-old from Gaza will arrive in Atlanta, first child to arrive in the city through this U.S.-based nonprofit dedicated to medical assistance. Several members of her family were killed. She had some cranial damages, burns across her body. President-elect says there will be no refugees coming in from Gaza. Do you expect that in 5 weeks to also mean girls like Habiba who are here for humanitarian purposes?
Yeah. Look, sadly, under President Biden and President Trump, I don't expect any real difference because you have not seen a bunch of refugees coming here for healing under President Biden, and President Trump has made it clear he doesn't want any refugees coming. So sadly, there are many people like her who are dying at this very moment in Gaza, many people like her who want to get out of Gaza, and they're not able to because President Biden has not changed his policy. I'm so happy this young girl is going to get out and get the treatment she needs, God willing, but there are so many more who need it. And the key thing is to stop the war. That is the thing that needs to happen so people can get out, whether they're going to Europe, Egypt, America to get treatment. That's fine, but the war has to stop for that to happen.
Edward Ahmed Mitchell, Deputy Director of CAIR. Thank you so much.
Thank you.